Welcome back to another Popcorn Banter Mini. Today, we're again reviewing the latest episode of The Mandalorian. This week, that episode is called Chapter 12, The Siege. As always, I'm here with Keegs. Keegan, how's it going?
Good to be back again.
I see you are again wearing your sponsored Under Armour t-shirt.
Yes, no hat this time, though. I left that out.
I guess we're going to have to start calling you the Under Armour guy.
We'll see if it sticks.
Well, you could bring the hat back and then you can go back to being the hat guy.
The hat guy.
All right, so let's get into our talking points. So as usual, why don't you kick us off with what you found good about this episode?
Well, again, the good, probably, I think The Mandalorian this season's really hit its stride. I think we're really right into the story and it's given us stuff to watch next episode.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best part. I've got a couple of notes here. Stuff that they went into, but a lot of stuff that probably we'll bring up later with the interesting. I found out that I didn't realize that the heroes didn't know that Moff Gideon was alive.
Yeah, that was something I forgot about as well, but it kind of made sense when they brought it back around.
So we found out that they thought he was dead and he's alive. And I think, that's just some good threads to lead into the next thing, especially with that lab that they were in, talking about the child's blood. I think that's really cool. And I can kind of see where they're going with it, but Did
you notice that they didn't say midi-chlorians? They just said, what did they use? They used
M count or something.
M count, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I'm not sure if they've used the word midi-chlorians since Phantom Menace.
Maybe they decided to leave that in the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, maybe. Well, my good for this week was that it was great to see Cara Dune and Grief Karga back. We haven't seen them this season, but they obviously played a pretty big role in season one. In my opinion, outside of Mando, they were probably the highlights of season one. And I also thought it was good to see, now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this name right, but Mithril, the fish guy. It was really good seeing him in there. I think one thing The Mandalorian has definitely left out of the episode so far is a bit of comic relief. And it was good to see someone like him in there. Just, adds a few laughs every now and then.
Well, I actually looked up. So he's played by Horatio Sands, which is Saturday Night Live comedian. So I thought he was going to... This is probably touching on a subject that I'm going to bring up in a second. But they were kind of dicks to him, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
They were very nice to him.
Especially Karga, yeah.
I'll come back to that in a second. But keep going with your good.
No, that's it. I mean, there was a lot of things I liked about this episode. But if I'm pinpointing a couple of things, I think just narrative-wise, it's good to get those characters back into it. I'm planning on writing a review of the episode later, but one of my key takeaways is that I realized the thing that was missing from the first two episodes, with the exception of the guy that looked like Billy Bob Thornton in the first episode, they've really sort of missed having an ensemble along with the Mandalorian. Otherwise, it's just him and the kid the whole time, or whoever the villain's going to be for that week. It's good to have that, that ensemble cast back. Yeah. Anyway, let's go to the bad. What did you have for bad this week?
Well, the Mithril character is one that I'm kind of touching on for a bad. I feel like they did put him in for a bit of comic relief, and I didn't find it that funny.
You didn't like
the way that they were just kind of dicks to him. They brought him along, and then they're like, "Oh, you're gonna have to get it in here for us." And they would have known all along that the lava tides are going to come get in, that he's going to have to come in. Yeah. I just felt like he was, I don't know, he wasn't funny comic relief. He was just there for comic relief. I do like that they brought him back, but I didn't like what they did with him. And the very first scene where they were doing the blue wire and the red wire with the Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Very, very reminiscent of Baby Groot with the bomb. Don't press this button, press this button. It's just, I feel like it had been done before. It was cute, but
great call.
Falling back on stuff. Yeah.
Seems like a really important thing to leave to someone that doesn't really know what they're doing.
And that's all I could think of was Rocket explaining to Groot, press this button. And he's like, I am Groot. And this is all I could think of the whole time. And I'm like, I've seen this scene before. It might not be these characters, but I've seen this scene before.
Maybe the episode shared executive producers or something. That actually ties into my bad, because my bad is that, and it's not necessarily a slight on the episode, but more of like the overall story. I'd like to see some character progression, or at least some aging in the child. Because it's been, a season and a half now, and nothing's changed. Like he may as well just be like a relic that the Mandalorian has that everyone else is after, because he doesn't do anything. And we know he has these incredible powers, the powers that the Jedi have, like the Force and all that sort of stuff. But he's only used it like 2 or 3 times. And anyway, I just want to see a bit more. I want to see,
in one case, to summon macaroons.
Yeah, they were 100% macaroons, right?
I think that implies the existence of intergalactic hipsters or basic bitches.
Intergalactic hipsters. Well, anyway, that's my bad. So yeah, it wasn't really episode centric, because I really enjoyed this episode, but just overall, I just want to see a little bit more from the little green kid.
I'm gonna go on the record here, and I don't think they're gonna age him at all.
No, it's starting to feel that way. Definitely.
I think it's a fair point, but he's too much of a seller for them, and they're not going to age him. It's going to stay exactly the same as he is, and they're going to keep leaning on it.
Well, to your point, they aged Baby Groot, so you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. What about interesting? What did you find interesting?
There was a couple there. So one big one was they brought up the New Republic a couple times, and they even had that New Republic policeman guy come in, and they kind of made the original trilogy seem like it was a very from one-sided argument.
Yeah.
Like, as in, these guys came over through the Empire, but people still have opinions on the New Republic and whether or not they can govern or not. So they're not perfect. And they're still the policeman that comes in and takes what happened and takes everyone's notes from events. So they're not as perfect as what the original trilogy made them seem, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's a fair point. My interesting thing was that it just looks like things are finally starting to heat up a little bit with the storyline. I mean, Moff Gideon appeared last week in what do they call them? Like a hologram. There you go. Yeah. But he was actually back on the screen this week, and the Empire is starting to play more and more of a role in the storyline for this season. There's definitely some skullduggery at play, that's for sure.
Skullduggery.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got some tricks up their sleeve, it would seem.
It seems like they're trying to create a battalion of, I suppose, soldiers. Jedi powered, soldiers, which is that didn't really interesting to see where they go with that.
Like, they didn't say like categorically that those suits were, force sensitive suits or anything, but there's definitely something funny going on there. Like, I reckon they're going to be a pretty epic threat, and maybe that's where the Mandalorian characters from last week might come back into it towards the end of the season. Who knows? All right, so to wrap things up, how about you give me your just 1-sentence review for the week?
I think 1-sentence review, best episode of this season. But I want one more point that I didn't bring up. When the New Republic guy was going and talking to Cara Dune, and he was like, you're from Alderaan. And then he asked the stupidest question that anyone could ever ask someone from Alderaan. Did you lose anyone? I audibly laughed. I'm like, bro, you can't say that.
When my planet blew up? Yeah.
You think I lost someone when everyone that I ever knew died? I lost someone. Yeah.
Can you imagine the odds of having everyone that you knew just happen to be off the planet when it blew up?
No, I was actually really lucky. We were all on a big holiday to Tatooine at the time, so we all survived.
Yeah. No, actually, that's a good point. That was definitely very interesting. Like, that was a nice little throwback to the OG trilogy. They've had a lot of them, but that was a good one.
Yeah. So back to what I was saying, best episode of the season so far, and I think what we said last week, it's really ramping up, and it has hit its stride well and truly by now, and I'm very excited to watch next week's episode.
Totally. I agree with that completely. It was the best episode of the season, easily. Might even be the best episode we've seen so far, maybe with the exception of the last episode of season 1. I was quite pessimistic after the first 2 episodes, but now I think it's 3 and 4. 4, right? So now I'm definitely back on track. I'm excited for each episode to come out, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season progresses.
Absolutely, I agree.
Well, that just about does it.
Pretty well. Wraps it up for me.
There will be a Mandalorian review up on Popcorn Banter, so make sure you go check that out. And we're also about to release our latest episode of the Popcorn Banter Podcast, so make sure you check that out too. Until next week, see you later, Keeks.
See you later for some more Mandalorian.